Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the road to WWDC here on First Clicks. And we got Mac rumors coming in with an actual news item on the M2. Yeah, you heard that correctly. We're not even having hands-on videos with the M1X yet, which is hopefully going to come someday soon. Obviously, we expect the MacBook Pro to be released at WWDC, or at least announced. Maybe released a month later, Tim? Come on, Tim. Anyways, apart from all that, obviously we're now here talking about the M2, which is probably going to be the successor to the low-powered M1, right? And then the M2X is probably going to be the high-powered successor to the high-power chip, which will probably be in the MacBook Pro. Now, the biggest question mark here, obviously, is that this is just a theory. We don't know if this is true. If that turns out to be true, or maybe Apple is just going to keep the M1 around as the only low-power chip around, nobody knows. But this is just what the current theory is. And obviously, there was a report coming in from John Prosser a few weeks ago, where he said that the redesigned MacBook Air might be the first candidate to receive the M2. Going back to the article, though, according to Mac rumors, the M2 is expected to have major performance improvements. And this also lines up with the rumors that Mark Gurman has been spreading around, that the next two Apple Silicon chips are going to be quote-unquote more ambitious. Now, nobody knows what that means. I am going to assume that that means more firepower in the M2, while probably still being a low-power chip. But according to Mark Gurman, the next two chips are going to be more ambitious. So that includes the M2. Or is there an M1Z in the pipeline somewhere? Nobody knows. The only thing I'm sure about is that we are going to keep you posted on this channel. Speaking of the MacBook Pro, obviously we are still expecting that MacBook Pro to show up at WWDC, but what might be missing, according to rumors, is the MiniLED display. Now, obviously everyone is waiting for this MiniLED technology to spread onto almost every single Apple product that you can find. It turns out that this update, this redesign, might not include the MiniLED display. But not all hope is lost. 9to5Mac coming in with this report: MiniLED MacBook Pro shipments reportedly expected in third quarter. According to an overnight report from DigiTimes, Apple suppliers are planning for third quarter shipments of components for the new 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pro models. The new laptops will feature MiniLED displays for the first time after Apple debuted the technology in the iPad Pro last month. We're talking obviously about exciting stuff, but does that mean that we're going to get another MacBook refresh down the road? Or are they just collecting components to have enough for the next refresh next year? Nobody knows. Again, these are just rumors upon rumors, but obviously this supply chain is not something that someone made up. This is stuff that's actually happening. If the timelines are correct though, that remains to be seen. And obviously we are going to keep you posted on all these stories, but this one in particular is fairly interesting. Does this mean that yes, we're going to get an announcement on WWDC, but we're only going to see the actual device at the end of the year or later this year? Or does it mean that we are going to get two separate refreshes in 1 year? Or are we not going to see the MacBook Pro at all this year at WWDC? I know when I was writing this line, I was going mental as well. And are we just going to have to wait until December or maybe even next year? And again, nobody knows. According to MKBHD, anything you read is only confirmed the moment Apple announces it. Speaking of debuting new screen technologies on the iPad Pro. Now, this report is completely wild and it's coming in from Mac rumors again. According to a report from Korea's ET News, quote unquote, some iPad models are going to receive a refresh with an OLED display. Now, I must say, before I continue with this story, that this sounds a little bit dubious, right? I mean, we finally got MiniLED on this iPad, and now there's going to be an OLED. I don't really believe, I feel like Apple is putting a lot of marketing behind this Pro XDR display, and to replace it the next year with a Pro Max XDR display? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I just don't understand at all. So maybe you guys have a suggestion. Leave it in the comments down below because I am super curious. Anyways, Let's get back into the article. The report citing industry sources claiming that Apple will use OLED displays instead of LCDs in some iPad models starting 2022. The report doesn't specify which iPad models would make the switch from LCD to OLED technology, but credible Apple analyst Min-Chi Kuo has reported that the mid-range iPad Air will be updated with an OLED display next year at a minimum. Now, I'm not going to discredit Min-Chi Kuo, okay? Like, it's not my place, and people will laugh at me, and it's just ridiculous to do it in the first place. But I am just going to say that even if he is right, I am still just confused. So even if Apple is going to announce that, I'm confused. Because in my eyes, and correct me if I'm wrong, OLED is a superior technology to MiniLED. Or at least in most people's eyes. Like, to put it in an iPad Air and have the iPad Pro sitting on less premium technology, I don't know. Like, this story just feels really weird to me. Maybe every iPad is going to get a new refresh with OLED displays. I would see that as a more realistic possibility. But to have an iPad Air with OLED and then have an iPad Pro and a MacBook and every single product that is above that category to have less premium components in a display, I don't know, dude. Like, I don't know. Maybe you guys have a different suggestion and know exactly what is going on here. I'm just lost. But obviously, we are going to follow this story as well, and we're going to keep you posted here on First Clicks. So definitely leave a like, leave a comment with your suggestions, and subscribe, because we are on the road to WWDC. And this countdown is going to hit 0 very, very soon.